Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup, and this is the final video of the week, and we'll be focusing on this week's DC comics, of which there are three, all from the Black Label line. Starting things off with the Dollhouse Family number 3. So, where we left off, Alice, well, her mother died in prison, and one of her tormentors at the home in the orphanage she grew up in was seemingly taken by the house. However, we begin in 1828. A dollhouse arrives at the Kent home shortly after the birth of Joseph Kent's son and subsequent death of his wife. In the cave where Joseph Kent went, however, the woman he was with, well, I use that word very loose. I'll use the word woman loosely. More like a demon with a feminine form, speaking with the earthen creature in there as well. And she's apparently numbing him. In response to her having been locked in a, for him having locked her in a cave. In 1998 in London, Alice meets a young boy named Jake. Apparently Alice wants to be a vet. However, so Alice goes back to Jake's house that night. They have sex. The condom apparently fell off, however, and she took a morning after pill. And still managed to get pregnant, however. Back in the 1820s, Joseph Kent is burying his late wife and tells Mrs. Bullock, the nanny, to keep the child away from him. And a robed man comes upon him, talking about the cave, and slips a necklace in the man's mouth, claiming that what Kent's done is a covenant, hell's covenant. In 2005, we discovered that Alice has had a daughter, Una. And Alice's mother's become a veterinarian. And Alice ends up having a play date with one of her classmates, a young girl named Chloe, and so Alice and Chloe's mom get to know each other well. Chloe and Alice play. While cleaning up, however, one of the dolls from the dollhouse is found. Turns out that the dollhouse has been appearing to Una. And Alice asks Una, hey, when the dollhouse does, next time it comes back, let me know and don't play with it, don't talk to it. And then Alice chucks the doll out the window. Back in 1835, Corwin Kent falls from a tree, but he's managed to securely fasten his nesting platform. Turns out, however, that the mysterious cave that Joseph Kent found, it's no longer where it was. So they decided, however, to go over. However, Will is there mainly to discuss Joseph's debts. As they leave, the necklace that Joseph was given rather forcefully at his late wife's funeral drops to the ground, and Corbin picks it up. However, it burns his hand. And Alice has a dream where she's operating on a dog, and there's a growth inside. That growth ends up being the dollhouse. When Alice awakes, the dollhouse is present in her room. They talk to her, and Jenny, her tormentor from the orphanage, is also there. So Jenny appears to an obviously racist internet troll who claims that that mixed relationships shouldn't occur. She tells Arnold, the man in question, that he's been chosen for an important mission. And it looks like he has most of the ingredients already. Back in 1935, Joseph is asking around about the necklace. He manages to find where it came from, but the inscription on it he still needs some help finding. Back in 2005, Alice thinks she sees a car full of dead people, and drops her keys. And she can't find them, however, so looks like Una will be going to school on the bus. In 1847, Joseph gets a dagger made of the same metal as his necklace. Goes to the local church, and prays, confesses his sins to God, because he's going to find the cave and kill the demon inside. And so he does. The cave appears to him just fine. Makes a torch and heads in. And it appears that the giant earthen man is now dead, but the woman demon is still there. Back in 2005, Alice and Una get on the bus, and Arnold runs into them. He's apparently made a suicide vest. And as they start to leave, he activates and seems to blow up the bus. And that's where the issue ends. As for this portion of Sea Dogs, it's a dramatis personae done as paper dolls. That's it for Dollhouse Family number 3. Moving on to Daphne Byrne number 1. Making, I believe, the 4th in the Hill House line. Let's see. Yeah. And so Daphne Byrne begins. A woman has gone to see a woman, Mrs. Byrne, has gone to see a medium. The setting is New York in 1886. Young Daphne's in school, however, she might have to leave out as Mrs. Byrne can't pay her debts. They can't even keep their own carriage anymore. And Daphne is keeping, well, she clearly hears what's being said. She's keeping herself distracted so as not to think about it. Apparently, Daphne's fond of rocks. She visits her father's grave and leaves the igneous rock that she found. It's basalt. She mentions how there's some swifts nesting outside her window. And she doesn't want to tell anyone else. Her mother wouldn't care, and the maid would say they're dirty. And so Daphne returns home, and her mother informs her that she visited a medium and spoke to her father. So that night, while Daphne's going to bed, she speaks to her governess about, asking, do you think it's true that she spoke to him? And if it is true, there's so much that she longs to say to him. So the next day, later, Daphne and her mother go to the medium together. There's a run-in with a blind beggar, but that Daphne has, though. At the medium, her father supposedly shows up, and so Daphne asks if he remembers the night on the roof when he showed her the stars. She adds whenever she looks at Regulus and Orion's belt, she thinks of him. And Daphne explains, as Daphne and her mother leave, she explains that the night on the roof she mentioned, it never happened. Also, Regulus, not a star in Orion's belt. Everything was done so to test the medium. And apparently, their cook has given notice, so there's not much left in the way of food. However, Daphne has a dream that night, going to visit her father's grave. And she ends up going into a mausoleum, and further down, and she meets a man who claims to be her brother, and telling him that the monsters she sees there, they won't hurt her. She's been invited after all. So now she has to make a sacrifice. And so the issue ends with her having No, the issue ends with her waking up after committing the sacrifice in her dreams. Well, let's just say that's where it ends. Moving on to Chapter 8 of Sea Dogs, taking place on October 5th, latitude 18.8, longitude 63.8, wind south by southwest. Two of the crewmen are drinking the laudanum from the doctor's stores. Another arrives. Apparently, he's been in the head for quite some time. Claims he had to take quite the dump. But they're thinking maybe he has something else that they pilfered from the doctor's stores. And they explain, that the doctor will do anything, it seems, to keep his secret. And then one of the crewmen sees what he thinks is a dog. But as it comes to a better view, it turns out to be a werewolf. And that is where the issue ends. With the three crewmen staring at the werewolf in terror. Alright, and finally, last book of the week is actually a bit of a holdover from, I'm not sure if it was last week or last month, but Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, Book 1. So, we begin with on Themyscira with Hippolyta telling Diana about her creation. We see the plane crash up rock sea Trevor to Themyscira, and then we later see nuclear bombs going off. We cut to a group wander through the woods when they're attacked by what they identify as a Hydra. So they run into a cave. One of the party trips and falls in. The rest blindly go in. And they land on a glass tube. They're about to be attacked by the Hydra who's followed them in, when a woman rises from the tube, punches the Hydra, though it does injure her a bit. She does at least manage to stop it. But part of the party that initially came along is killed in the process. And it is, of course, Diana of Themyscira, though she's wondering, why is she suddenly so weak, and where are her gauntlets? Turns out she's in the Batcave. So they follow the stairs up, and she finds the skeleton of Bruce Wayne and the remains of his costume. And she gets a look outside at the rest of the world, or what's left of it. She tries to learn what she can about what's happened. No one really knows. The people who actually did passed away long ago. The stories were never passed down. There was a war, a big one, and afterward there was something that her grandparents all called the Great Fire. They figure means atom bombs. So back at Wayne Manor, well, what's left of it, Diana finds one of her old costumes and takes Bruce's belt and joins their party. And when they arrive at one of the last remaining human cities, Camp New Hope, Diana is promptly betrayed and handed over to the leader. He was thinking of taking Diana as his new wife. However, Diana comes to, and she will be no man's wife. She's subdued and then taken to the pits. Then we cut back to Hippolyta talking to young Diana, explaining to her basically, never trust me. The gods betrayed us. Men are as trustworthy as the gods. Don't go to the world of men. She talks to one of the people that she met initially, and she explains about her love of humanity as a whole and how it came from Steve Trevor. But she's being sent to the killing pit, to the pits of ending. and she must fight a monster. That monster is her old foe, Cheetah. And so Wonder Woman and Cheetah duke it out. While the fighting is going on, however, a horde of Hydra attacks. And so Cheetah and Diana kind of talk a bit about what's happened while they fight. Then the Hydra arrive in the pits, and well, Diana gets involved in the battle, saving the day. And she becomes the leader of the camp after standing up to Cheetah and sending former ruler to the cell that he kept her in. And then Cheetah goes back to her old cell. She explains that her plan is to take everyone in the camp to Themyscira, where she grew up, as it should be safe from everything that's happened. And that is where Book 1 of Wonder Woman Dead Earth ends. I seriously don't like these oversized books. The only problem with with most of the fare from Black Label. Anyway, that's it for this week's roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.